What's happening, everybody? This is L.A. Williams. So because we love our Millionaire Car Salesman tribe so much, we've decided to give you an exclusive sneak preview into the Against All Odds radio show airing this weekend. We interviewed Mr. Bob Lanham, the head of Automotive at Facebook. So I'm going to play the intro for y'all, and the interview will already be in progress. Check it out. AutoWeb. Welcome to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, the #1 resource for automotive sales professionals, managers, and owners to learn how to make money, accumulate wealth, and to all out ball out in the auto industry. And now your hosts, Sean V. Bradley and L.A. Williams.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
AutoWeb.
I think it's hysterical to your point, and I think it'd be absurd if Facebook didn't execute on it, because this very popular app, Clubhouse, is utilizing Instagram, and a lot of the influencers on Clubhouse, like myself, we have the morning motivations that I do. We have a Facebook group, so I love this. Okay, so let's go into, since we're already talking about Facebook groups, let's just talk about this for a second. I love my Facebook group because it is it is the top lead generation for Dealer Synergy, is this group. But I've taken 4 years very painstakingly to keep my group authentic. For me, what I've done is, instead of being excited about just random numbers, I wanted to have, and Bob, you don't know, this is vetted now. Out of 20,400 members, I am positive, because we've vetted, that 20,000 of them are literally our core audience as dealer principals, GMs, internet managers, automotive professionals. So only 400 out of 20,400 are vendors. So because we've created such an authentic group, we have a separate group, as you know, called the Millionaire Car Salesman Admins and Moderators, which I have 80 admins and 80 moderators in a whole separate group that we use to back channel to be able to moderate this group. So there's a lot of time and energy, and I'm honored that you had shared with me, and I'd like you to kind of say it on air. Do you not use our group? Can you explain what you use our group for in your PowerPoints?
Well, when you said I love my group, I was about to say, yeah, me too, because there's a number of reasons for that, right? It is authentic, and I'm a student of this game. I don't pretend to be an expert or know it all. I'm very fortunate to be able to be a part of a large company and a division that I have such passion for. But I'm more of a student than I am an expert, right? And to be able to see what people are posting in your group and how people are commenting and reacting and supporting mostly. I mean, you've created what the term we like to use is community, right? For the sole benefit to help each other out. And you've done that. And I've used your group as that example. I mean, you got 20,400 people in your group, with most of them active, right? And they want to contribute. They want to post what they have going on. And we've started a dealer advertising and marketing group, and I think we have about 4,000 members now, and it's growing greatly. And our focus is on advertising, right, and executing advertising. But I am often in the group learning what individual sales representatives are doing on our platform, what businesses are doing on our platform, or not. Just learning the business and learning the challenges they're facing with vehicle acquisition or profitability on the front end versus the back. And it is such a great resource for the entire industry. So kudos to you.
Thank you. So let's talk about groups. For me, I've created the Millionaire Car Salesman Group. My audience are owners and managers and automotive professionals. Now, Facebook has separate categories of groups. The one I have is a social learning group, because it gives me the ability to have mentorship software. It gives me the ability to create guides, formerly known as chapters, to organize. And I use it as an extension to training. What most people don't know, now that it's going to be on broadcast radio, that my competitors are going to know, I didn't create my group at first for the public. I created it for my paying clients to create like almost a cyber 20 group, you know what I mean, to connect them with each other, to share best practices, to synergize. Now it's grown to the point where we are generating a tremendous amount of revenue in sponsorships just for the group and the podcast. So can you give us some ideas, besides the automotive industry, how should people, or how could people utilize Facebook groups to their benefit or their business benefit?
Well, Sean, you said this already, right? You use the group now as your core lead gen source to drive your dealer synergy business, right? And that's what I want business owners to think about of a group. It's your CRM strategy, right? It's your remarketing strategy. So I have told, I'm in the auto retail space, so I have told dealers, why don't you have a customer group? Everyone that's bought from you, why don't you create a group for them, and why? And we researched why people visit dealership Facebook profiles or social media profiles, and why people follow dealership social media profiles. And let me give you the number one reason why they follow. Remember, visit and follow are two different behaviors, but the number one reason why they follow a dealership social media profile is to stay up to date with updates of the dealership, specials, incentives, etc. So imagine, and you know this better than anybody, being one of the top consultants in the business, that the service, the back of the house is the number one loyalty strategy for the store. Right? Was that what you said? I heard you in the background. Right? But how do you drive that retention? Right? I don't think a direct mail piece is going to do it anymore. I don't think an email is going to do it anymore. But when you create this group, knowing that anytime a piece of content is posted, that person gets notified, they can then join this community that is around your store. And we're seeing a lot of businesses start to create groups for that CRM strategy.
Let me tell you this, Bob. I don't know if you know this, but we're partnered with Cody Carter. Cody Carter right now is the number one salesperson in the world. Now, the year is not over yet, so Ali might, still take the crown. But in the last 90 days, and it's because even though today's the last day of the month, we don't have the numbers for June. So March, April, May, Cody sold 412 cars on the showroom floor. He made over $1 million gross in 90 days and $300,000 in personal income in 90 days on the showroom floor. You know how he did it? We just did this on Clubhouse the other day. He broke it down. Groups. One of his biggest lead gen is he's a leasing beast. So he joined all the groups for Toyota, Camry, Toyota, Corolla, Toyota Tacoma. They have groups for these individual models, and they have groups for leasing. There's a group called Lease Hackers. And so, to your point, I don't think I've heard that often a suggestion to create like a sold customer group. I love it. But if you are an automotive professional, or especially the damn dealership, there should be groups on particular vehicles, especially if they're like a Corvette or a Hellcat, or a vehicle that's really desired, a Telluride. Even a freaking Kia Telluride is selling 10 G's over sticker right now. There could be ownership groups for that. Kate Jurgensen, she's from our group. She works at Subaru. They specialize in what? In off-roading and those Outbacks and things like that. And then there's the Fast and the Furious tuner cars. So creating groups for enthusiasts and for, like you said, community, or for subject matter expertise. I see on Facebook all the time, there's like local, you know what I see an abundance of? Flea markets and things like that, and just yard sales. So there's a group for everything. So you can use groups in any vertical. This is not an automotive radio show, but we both have a lot of automotive experience. Whether you are creating your own group, which I believe, but then in addition to that, you should be joining all of the relevant groups for your vertical, for your potential networking to develop that tribe. Now I'm going to turn over in just a second, but I want to cue this up. My wife, 65 million views, 11 major music videos. Record labels don't care how good you sing or dance or shake your ass. They care, do you have a platform? Do you have an audience that will buy your music, stream your songs, go to your concerts, and buy your merchandise? Period. It's a yes or no. You're either pregnant or not pregnant. That's what determines if you've got a record deal or not. Next, I'm signed and I'm published by Wiley Publishing. They don't care. It's not the New York Times best written author. It's the New York Times best selling author. All they care about is the ability of having a platform. So would you agree that groups are one of the best ways to build an audience, a community, and platform?
Absolutely. And it's the best way to stay in communication with them in a consistent manner.
Wow. Yeah, that's powerful right there. So, man, Facebook groups, man, that's, again, one of the biggest things. And so I know you mentioned dealership and everything, but just replace the word dealership with your business, right? I know we got a huge audience of business owners. Guys, have a daggum sold customer group, right? Everyone who bought from your place of business, right? You got to do that. So when we come back, man, I'm telling you, there's so many more conversations. We want to talk about, I love when you said monetary, Bob. I don't know, this is Against All Lies show, right? We like talking about money. So we're going to have a conversation about making money, all of the financial side that really, this is fire, y'all.
Against all odds.
We will be right back.
Hey world, this is Sean V. Bradley, and if you need to buy a new or pre-owned car and want to have the best, most convenient experience ever, get full transparency, the absolute lowest price, no stress, best customer service, well, I highly recommend Car.com. Do you want to find out why over 50% of the Ward's Auto Top 100 Mega Dealer list of 2020 are using Car Now? Click here and find out why.
Don't be the last one with your hand up at the auction. VinQ Vehicle Buying Center gives dealers the digital and in-store tools you need to buy direct from the public. On average, inventory bought from the public grosses $1,200 higher on the front end alone. VinQ turns buying cars direct from the public into a business. The most profitable dealerships in the country are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in additional front end gross. Private party acquisition starts with VinQ. See it at VinQ.com.
Did you know that Car.com is a website to connect consumers like you, me, our parents, basically everybody to local car dealers? Car.com helps us find that perfect vehicle. From new vehicles to certified pre-owned, Car.com will help you find the best vehicle match. Car.com practically started the online car shopping experience. Peace of mind and finding your perfect vehicle, it's what they do. Car.com. We do the research, you do the driving. Get started getting that peace of mind today at Car.com.
You're listening to WORK Radio. The only place success comes before work is in the dictionary. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you that if you keep on listening, you got a little bit more in the podcasted version. So, man, this is exciting. We still have Bob Lanham here with us from Facebook Corporate, man, the head of Automotive. And listen, it's not just about automotive, is it, Sean? Tell him.
No, absolutely not. Before I do, LA, do you know what I think? It's like Marvel. Like after like watching like Avengers and the end credits come on, you have like that scene. You're absolutely right. So Bob is about to bless these people with some amazing nuggets. And again, folks, look, me and my wife, we own multiple companies in and out of the automotive industry. We're going to ask some questions that might be in a vertical that you're not in. Don't panic. Don't stop listening. What you want to do is continue listening and just replace, dealerships or automotive with whatever vertical you're in. So with that being said, Bob, I want to jump into it. So you gave some good.
See, I like when the mic is all close to your mouth like that, Sean. You sound great, man. I wish it could be like that. That's how I do it. That's why I sound like I sound.
Thank you, Mom. All right. So, Bob, I think you gave some amazing feedback for Karina on Scar Food and how to, leverage the Facebook shops and Instagram shops. But what I want to go into is let's just go into the automotive industry. For example, we talked about Cody Carter during the air. Like everybody knows who the juggernauts are on the sales floor: Ali Reddas, Cody Carters, etc. Can you, even if you can't say the name, do you know a dealer, because you only work with the top dealerships in the United States, who is murdering, utterly just maximizing the hell out of Facebook, Instagram ads? Do you have
there's a number of stores, and I'll first give the credit to a group up in New York by the name of Mohawk Honda and Mohawk Chevrolet. They started utilizing all of our tools before I even heard of them. And They are very community-based driven. They use lives, they create stories, they create feeds, and they just do a phenomenal job at marrying that organic delivery with their paid delivery because they work together. I said this earlier, right? Media platforms work together. Well, even what you do within our platform works together. What you're doing organically or free will help the engagement and the success of anything that you do paid. So they do a great job. Another dealership by the name of Jones Junction does a great job. So there's a number of stores that you could review.
So let's go to the Mohawk for a second. Are they, like, obviously that's great that they're doing, organic and they're doing paid, phenomenal, but let's quantify that for a minute. Like, at the end of the day, they're investing time and money. Do you have like an ROI? Like, I told you that Cody Carter freaking sold 412 cars on the showroom floor. I told you that Bob Ruth Ford went from 25 cars to 312 cars. If I was a publicly traded company like Facebook, I would be collecting these case studies. Do you have anything that you're able to share, net increase wise, profit wise, audience wise, market share wise, something that we could, that we could stick our teeth into?
Yeah, so I have a number of case studies as it relates to the paid, right? So the paid is great. But let me just talk about Mohawk and their organic plus paid, because this is a mindset shift. Okay, this is a mindset shift from the dealer principal or the general manager that's running the store. And Andy, who's the dealer principal, was interviewed by Automotive News about how they utilized social, paid, and organically. And, they asked him that question, what's the ROI? And he's like, look, you can't always match back everything you do to a sale. But I can tell you this, when we've started this to where we are today, our business is dramatically up. Right. We know there's ROI there. And while there's payroll costs and other costs to creating the organic delivery, his role in the community is exponentially greater than it was before that. So they just see it. And it's hard because people don't walk in and say, oh, I saw that organic post that you did 2 days ago. That's why I'm here. But they did see it. Right. And maybe that's why they're there. So some of this is going to be gut. But when it comes to paid, okay, when it comes to advertising, this is where my passion, really comes out, and you'll hear it and see it for those that are viewing it. But, I've been challenging dealers for years. Our team has been challenging dealers that we believe and have proven that dealers could cut anywhere between 30 and 50% of their advertising and marketing spend and still sell the same amount, if not more vehicles. They just have to buy their second largest expenditure, which is advertising and marketing, better, right? More strategically. And what do I mean by that? Okay. Well, I've got a case study from a company called Fountain Forward that walk into a dealership new. They evaluated their media plan, right? Everything that they were buying. And they said, look, we're going to stop buying this over here. We're going to reallocate some of it over here. But they were able to cut around $16,000 of advertising and marketing spend a month. Okay. So you're talking about $160,000 a year. Okay. Well, how did they do that? Well, they said, okay, think about it as a replacement strategy. If one media platform can do the exact same or better than another media platform, but that media platform is lesser cost, would you buy it? Absolutely. If I can replace a media platform with the same results or better with a platform that costs less, 100. Well, that's what Facebook and Instagram can do. We have so much scale. I mentioned earlier, 231 million people a month, 178 million a day. You bring that locally, we're most likely going to be the largest media platform. And remember, businesses buy media space from us. We're most likely going to be one of the largest media platforms. And because of that, and we're an auction, we're able to deliver media at a very efficient cost. So we can replace other platforms for a lesser cost and drive greater results.
So let's talk about this. So in Bradley On Demand, on my platform, I have Facebook Automotive. We talked about this, about rolling out a whole new version, which now that Lauren's on here, we're going to do, right? And the one thing is, let's talk about ROI and money. So I'm going to count back in. So this is going to be this section. I'm going to clip for actual Bradley on Demand. This is how excited I am. 3, 2, 1. All right. So I want to talk about Facebook ROI. To your point, Bob, I think it's absolutely brilliant. NADA says, still in 2021, that the average cost per sale in advertising is roughly $640 per car sold, which is incorrect because it's actually higher. And how I figure that is what they do is they do dumb dealer math. No disrespect. They say, okay, I'm spending $64,000 a month in advertising and I sold 100 cars. Yeah, but you're not factoring in your franchise, your Toyota dealership that people are buying from there. You're not factoring in your lease returns. You're not factoring in people that their car, is broken and they desperately need a car anywhere. You're not factoring in that you're the local dealership, etc. You're not factoring in friends, family, prior customers, etc. So in my estimation, I truly believe that it's north of $800. The true average cost per sale in advertising, I think, is over $800 per car, which I think is astronomically egregious. So when you look at the cost per click, cost per sale conversions, I would believe that there is very few things that are as cost effective and simultaneously transparent and verifiable, accurate. So with that being said, my question to you is this. Let's say that I am a digital marketing manager. I'm a business development manager. I'm a GM, GSM, dealer principal, and I'm like, okay, I want to start investing in social media, right? So on a financial level, if I have the average budget, okay, of $60,000 a month, how much of my budget do you suggest? And now, obviously, I respect you enough not to say everything, you know what I mean? But
I never would.
okay, I know you wouldn't. That's why I'm asking. I trust you and I respect your opinion. How much money should a responsible DP allocate towards, social media? And let's break it down. Should there be a budget for social media HR? To have a social manager, social specialist? Should there be organic? Because even though it's organic and it's technically free, there's no ad cost, but there's content creation, whether it's graphic design, it's video creation, it's blogging, it's this and that. So most dealers are not thinking like this, brother. You know what I mean? And then what should the paid budget be? So break it down. I have a $64,000 a month advertising budget. How much of that overall should be given towards quote unquote social media? And then how would I break that budget down subcategory between HR, organic, and paid?
Yeah, so I'll answer it this way because obviously every store has a different budget based on their market and their size. But I can tell you the stores that we work with do not have an $800 cost per car sold, right? They're more in the $300 range. And how are they able to do that? Well, we're anywhere between 30 and 50% of their overall media spend. And what is that 30 and 50% able to deliver them? A lot of eyeballs through various strategies. And this is where my true passion comes out, because I constantly tell dealers you have to have a full funnel strategy, from brand awareness all the way down to loyalty with inventory and intent-based, engagement-based advertising in between. And when you run a full funnel strategy on our platform, you can do it very cost efficiently. You can reach a lot of people and the results are there because we can match it back.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because again, if the average budget is $64,000 per month, if you're talking allocating $20,000 to $32,000 to Facebook paid ads, I don't disagree. I don't think that's a bad choice. However, I think that if you do that and you're reallocating budget from like radio, which sucks, for advertising, or and it's funny that we're on a radio show, right? Or for television, I don't think that you need to still keep the $64,000 budget. I think that you can spend less and make the same amount of money, if not more. So to your point, instead of spending $64,000, if we shifted $20K to $32K to social HR, social organic, social paid, and do it the right way, that leaves me approximately at least $32,000 to $44,000 that's there. I think out of that rest, we could possibly put $5,000, $10,000 back in the bank and not spend it. Would you agree with that?
1,000% times another 1,000x. And listen, here's the takeaway, because I've taken some heat when I'll post a case study where this dealer is spending $16,000 a month with us. They were able to cut 30% of their budget. And everyone says, you can't take credit for all their sales and their increase in their market share. I said, whoa, hold on a second. I'm not necessarily taking credit, but the media mix. Okay. So I'm going to bring something up that is the most important aspect that dealers have to do right now, which is understand everything they're buying. Sean, there isn't one dealer. There's a handful of dealer principals that I've run into, okay, that know line item by line on what they're buying for advertising and marketing. But let's put that in perspective. Okay. We know payroll is their largest expense, which they easily can go to their CFO and say, give me the breakdown of our payroll. Their floor plan or inventory is their second or third largest expense, while they can ring off their vehicle acquisition strategy, their recon strategy, their appraisal strategy. They can ring it off to a nutshell down to the dollar. But advertising and marketing is their second or third, right? Floor plan and Swift, but they don't know what they're doing. Right. So it's time to, so let's just figure out. So how do you do it at the very least? And you nailed it when you're like, I think it's $800, because they're not even taking into account all these other things, like the cost for their CRM system, which is probably 12 grand, which is used solely for advertising and marketing, right? For the most part, their costs to their website, all these costs have to be put in. So you're going to start hearing from me in the future talking about media mix modeling. Okay. So what is media mix modeling? It's also known as marketing mix modeling. All it is simply documenting all of your expenses, everything you're buying, everything, and matching it back to your sales. There's your model. So as you adjust that model, you say, okay, I'm not going to buy this media platform. I'm gonna reallocate 20% of it and then pocket the rest. Here's my new model. Let's see how it performs on sales. Dealers have to start mapping out their advertising and marketing expenses. It's their second largest expense. The dealers that are starting to do this are the ones that are turning their second largest expense into an investment, because then they know what they should buy and not buy.
Powerful stuff, man. That's crazy.
If you could do me a favor, you could send me an email with the list of like the top, Facebook, Instagram dealers like Mohawk and that, because I want to start like researching them and I want to see what they're doing. But you're the best because you're tracking, the top dealers in the group. I'd love to. And I've got some pretty good people that are really successful with social media too, and they might not even be on your radar. So I'd love to be able to share that information.
Yeah, and I would love that.
So the next thing is I'm going to jump up right here. So I'm going to introduce you to Lauren. Lauren is the new Dealer Synergy social media manager right there. Okay. And she's got a couple questions she wanted to ask you just about social media.
Lauren, you're now in the hot seat.
I'm about to say, welcome Lauren to the Against All Odds radio show, the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
What's going on, El?
Thanks for having me. So currently, there's a lot of talk about iOS 14 and how that is going to relate to being able to both target and redirect people from social media, from the website to actually targeting them on ads. So my question for you is, what will Facebook targeting look like now that iOS 14 isn't really allowing you to target Apple users?
Yeah,
track them. That's what it's about.
That's right. And let me give you some background on that. And
After these messages, we'll be right back.
At the very first Dealer eProcess keynote, Gino Ciparroni and Sam Vukas introduced new tools and strategies to drive conversion, new designs to increase customer engagement, and new technologies to dominate the competition. Visit dealereprocess.com/keynote to watch and see what's new in 2021.
And you mentioned iOS 14 and the effect on Facebook, but the iOS 14 update has an effect on every single app, social and non-social. Now, we tend to get connected with the iOS 14 update because Mark Zuckerberg and the Apple CEO kind of had a little banter in the press. So understandably, everyone talks about the effect on Facebook. But listen, it affects every single app you have on your phone. And for those of you listening, you've probably opened up your apps and the app has had to ask you, are we allowed to track you? Yes or no, essentially, right? So what is the effect? If someone selects, no, you're not allowed to track me, then absolutely, right? That person gets removed from the ability to not only track to retarget, but track to give attribution, right, to the campaign. So, we're still learning what the effect is because it was a rollout, right? So you had to wait for people to update to iOS 14, and then the prompt, as they call it, for people to be allowed to track. I actually posted on my LinkedIn profile, a dealer agency wrote a little recap of what they're seeing. And, I'll make sure they were not seeing much of an effect at the moment. So I'm not trying to table this or pass the buck. I just don't think we know yet. I think we're still learning what that changes. Really, the bigger effect was going to be Chrome blocking cookies by the end of 2022, but they just announced that they're going to, add a year and they're going to wait till 2023. So there's still a lot of wait and see. Measurements getting better, attributions getting better, but yes, ultimately, anytime someone opts in not to be tracked, they're not allowed to be tracked. So there's going to be a net effect.
Great question, Lauren. So what else we got for Bob?
Sure. Because of Dealer Synergy's platform style, I would consider us more of a B2B type company. And usually a lot of times when Facebook comes up, it comes up as not a good platform to market B2B, or for those who don't know that are listening, that means business to business. Would you agree with that? And then if you don't agree, what are some tips you would say B2B companies could use to utilize Facebook better?
Yeah, I don't agree that it's not a good B2B platform. And the tip I would use is to call Sean B. Bradley on how he utilizes our tool to be the number one lead gen source for Dealer Synergy. I mean, we hear it all the time. Facebook doesn't work. Facebook's value only $500. And listen, the ecosystem is open, right? So anybody can execute Facebook campaigns and on behalf of businesses and start an agency. And, like Google, we become reliant on their knowledge and their expertise of the business. And it's unfortunate. So, but it does keep me employed on having to educate the industry. But, our business to business offering, our business to consumer offering, look, let's just get back to simplicity. 231 million people on our platform every month, 178 million a day. Why do we buy advertising and marketing? We buy advertising and marketing to reach eyeballs at the most efficient cost to drive ROI. Well, if we can do that, which we are, I mean, I've got more case studies than I know what to do with, then you just have to do it properly, right? That's the key. You have to do it properly. And business to business is a great platform to utilize. We've got the groups, we've got the live, we've got all sorts. And I'm not joking when I say, join the Millionaire car salesman group, and you'll learn how quickly the B2B can work.
Bob, I think that part of it, though, and I want your opinion, is that Facebook's not a magician, meaning that Facebook is the platform for the eyeballs, but there's a couple things that need to happen. There needs to be subject matter clarity. Somebody needs to understand how to basically create audiences, how to create campaigns, when's the best time to play the campaigns, and then the campaigns themselves, the actual the asset. Again, if the asset sucks, if the video's not quality, if there's not good call to actions, or there's a strategy to it, or the graphic, I think that, again, what happens to businesses is they blame everybody. It's like car dealers blaming a third-party provider. These leads suck. No, the leads don't suck. You don't have a CRM process. You don't have the right people. You don't have the right amount of people. You have no accountability. It's not the leads. And I think it's the same thing. Facebook is not responsible for, the ultimate success of people buy your product. Facebook is there to provide the audience. What you do with that audience, how you engage them, the quality of your content, the tenacity of your follow-up, etc., are going to be, aspects of the success or lack thereof. Would you agree with that?
I couldn't agree with you more. And I loved your example. I mean, we're dealing with it now with messaging, right? Which is the new lead or the new, entry point into a store or potential purchase. And, the reality is messaging for many isn't handled incorrectly, but who do they blame? Facebook messaging doesn't work. And it's like, how does it not work? Right? We have millions and millions and millions and millions of people using it every single day, sending millions of messages every single day. It's how they want to communicate. Obviously, something's broken. And Sean, we didn't talk about this earlier and I wanted to, but you nailed it, right? I always think of advertising and marketing as the front end, right? We're going to introduce the business. We're going to introduce the product, right? We're going to introduce the experience. We're going to introduce everything as it relates to what you're looking to do. But then there's the in-business process, right? That has to follow the front end, right? And if the front end and the back end are not working together, or not synergizing correctly, then it falls apart. And we often get blamed for poor leads and poor that, when in reality, it's a poor process.
All right, I've got one last question for you, and I'll let my co-host Ernest check, and you get to ask a question when I'm done. This is a question for not only dealer synergy, but for my clients. Because remember, in the previous question, I asked you the budget. You gave me a great answer, and I was very transparent with you. I said, I really believe, and we've talked about this offline, before, that I don't think that you need an ad agency to charge a ridiculous amount of money, especially if you're already a multi-million-dollar or sometimes multi-billion-dollar dealer group. If you have a social media specialist, a social media rep, a social media manager at your organization, you could inflict heavy damage in a good way. I mean, you could be very successful. So here's the question, and I'm going to count into this because this is going to be on Bradley Demand. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I want to talk about a social media rep, specifically somebody that, whether it's a dealership or it's dealer synergy or a dealer group, if they're going to hire a full-time specialist like Lauren over here to work at the dealership, step one is, what do you recommend their job description could be? And then I'll tell you what hers is, but I want to hear from you. If somebody has a business, has a social media full-time person working 40 hours a week, what should their job description be?
Well, first of all, if a store has this person has become, and I said this a couple of months ago, almost as important as the service director and the general manager, right? Because if you think about it, they're responsible for reaching the largest population in the world or in the country with strategic messaging to ultimately drive a sale, right? And there's costs to that. So the better they do it, the better the ROI is. And I'd almost up level it a little bit, Sean, and instead of focusing on a social media manager, which, listen, the bigger the store, you need one, maybe a media manager, right? One that understands the media space, the purpose of direct mail, the purpose of radio, how platforms work together. They understand the mix, the media mix, right? And how that media mix is driving ROI for the store versus all of the individual different products, because again, it all works together. It doesn't work in a silo. But to answer your question, the organic side, the content creation that is community-based or brand-based for the store is extremely important. And then understanding how our platforms work, the individual tools, but not necessarily when you go to execute advertising strategies, it's not about the product. It's about the strategy. Products fulfill strategies, right? You don't buy products. You don't say, "Oh, I'm going to buy this new catalog feed-based ad." No, you say to yourself, "I'm buying a intent-based strategy. I have an intent-based strategy that is VIN specific. What products will help drive intent that I'm looking to do. Oh, that's Facebook automotive inventory ads, which is VIN based and catalog based, etc. But that fulfills a strategy, right? And you have to have a full funnel strategy: brand, intent, and retention or loyalty.
Now, to your point, I don't disagree that, a media manager might be great or better, but to me, that's a higher level person because it's multiple verticals. I'm talking about, I think it would be a coup if we're able to get dealerships to see freaking value in social media and start with somebody that's there, because you could get somebody that is, I don't want to say frontline person, but somebody that's, again, fresh out of college, that's super smart, that's super motivated, that is willing to help build something. You know what I mean? So again, I got somebody like that right here, Lauren, on our team. This woman is freaking amazing. She's got a degree in advertising. She can do video. She's got experience and expertise in Adobe, in Premiere, in After Effects. She could do graphic designs, but her passion is social media. So taking someone like that, whether it's for dealer synergy or if she worked at a dealership as a dealership employee, I would say that, just first of all, making sure that Facebook, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, they have those platforms. They have them set up the right way, because this dealerships have their profiles all jacked up. They don't have the right graphics and branding. Sometimes they don't have all the features, the instant reply messages, the whatever API set up. So just getting those things set up correctly, and then I would say is understanding. I love what you said. Understanding the different tools, especially for a dealership. Understanding Facebook Marketplace. Understanding Facebook Jobs. HR is a disaster with dealerships. There's a 70 to 80% attrition ratio at the bubonic level. You know what I mean? It's a pandemic out there for staffing. So just being able to have somebody that can liaison with the sales managers, the inventory managers through Marketplace. They could liaison with the HR or sales managers for a recruiting side of things. Then to your point, on a marketing, advertising, branding, they could start to develop communities for business development and or customer retention. I love what you said before. There's Facebook Blueprint for all verticals, but there's specifically, which your team created, Facebook Blueprint for automotive dealerships. Am I correct?
We have a playbook. That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Okay, so then, and I think what's also crazy is just answering these people back, because here's the thing that drives me crazy. These OEMs, let me get started right now. This is a podcast.
Don't get too started now.
I can say shit on the podcast. I can't say it on the air, but this shit drives me crazy, Bob, is that these OEMs, recommend and force, because of co-op or whatever Illuminati rules, they force these dealers to get these agencies that suck. And what happens is they think that these agencies are following up with all the messages. There's nothing worse, in my opinion, than a customer or a prospect or both reaching out to you on social media and you don't ever get back to them, or you don't get back to them consistently, or you don't get back to them in a timely fashion. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I absolutely agree. And what I love about, the role you created with Lauren, right, who understands the product and the features and how they work, as she grows in the business and understands the auto space and the different strategies that are deployed to drive, whether it's a sale or a service visit or an appraisal visit, and all of the different, attributes of the sale, she's going to be able to take that knowledge of the product, right, and understand how those products fulfill that strategy. And like I said, I mean, when you're reaching the scale that social media platforms can reach, you have to have an expertise, an expert that is monitoring that. And I literally said this on a podcast a couple of months ago that, a social media manager or a media manager is just as important as a general manager or a service director.
You know what? Everybody probably poofed you like, this dude's crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. and I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying is that it's the delusion, that they don't understand the pure power If you don't think about that, I've heard this before, but it's so true. Social media has topped governments. It's gotten evil dictators literally kicked out of office and killed. You know what I mean? It has gotten major people elected. Social media is the number one form of communication on planet Earth. And if dealerships, what's, oh my God, this shit drives me even more crazy than the freaking OEMs shoving stuff together. When I go into dealerships and they block social media, they block Facebook, they block Instagram because, we can't trust our employees to put, or they yell at their salespeople if the salespeople try to post on their own personal time, hey, I sell cars and things like that. There's dealerships that have social exclusion policies. What do you say to these Neanderthals in general?
Last thing, y'all.
Be prepared to get bought. I mean, it's 2021. I don't understand it, and that's truly what I would say is social media is truly the largest media platforms out there with the largest scale. I don't know why you would ever do that.
All right,
that is huge. Phenomenal stuff, man. So this is how I earn my check, by shutting shit down. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't tell Sean I got a meeting at 12 because he's going to be like, oh, well, you got till 12:01. You know what I'm saying? I got to change setups and everything like that. We got this whole radio show set up. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been absolutely phenomenal. I'm like, dang, I called on Bob. I had Sean call up Bob, and this is what I got. You know what I'm saying? So I got to take responsibility because Bob is a plethora, a myriad of just tons and tons of information. So thank you so much, Bob, for being on. Lauren, you are a phenomenal guest host. Man, you gonna say that you hosted a daggum radio show in our nation's capital. This is absolutely phenomenal. So thanks so much to Lauren. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, the DC area, the whole DMV area. You guys are absolutely the bomb for kind of hanging out with us for this little bit of time. We appreciate everybody, and we will check y'all out next week or on our next podcast. Just listen, just go ahead and binge listen, right? And then share them with all your friends.
I thought you had to go, man. Damn, just get off the air.
The Against All Odds radio show comes to you every week from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If you have a question about the show or would like the chance to become a guest and share your success story, we would love to talk to you. You can reach us directly at 856-546-2440 or email us at againstalloddsradioshow@gmail.com. This program is a presentation of Synergy Records, streaming live coast to coast and downloadable everywhere podcasts are found. The Against All Odds radio show is produced by Sean V. Bradley, CSP. Production and engineering by L.A. Williams. The Against All Odds radio show is hosted every week by L.A. Williams and the millionaire car salesman himself, Mr. Sean V. Bradley, CSP. Plus, don't forget Sean's best-selling book, Win the Game of Googleopoly, is available right now on Amazon. Thanks for listening to the Against All Odds radio show, and remember, where I come from, money provides options. The Against All Odds radio show is sponsored in part by Scar Food, Car.com, and Dealer Synergy. If you enjoyed this podcast, then make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave us a review. Let some other folks know about it. Oh, and don't forget to join the Millionaire Car Salesman group on Facebook. We'll see you there.